four-year scholarship to a private high school here in the southwest side of Chicago. Committed to my schoolwork, I graduated high school with honors and decided to explore further my education. That's right when I realized that college was way too expensive and I wasn't going to be able to afford actually going to a new university. And this was all due to my immigration status. Feeling as though I couldn't reach out for help, I felt myself slowly falling into the shadows like thousands of other immigrants that are now living in this country. However, my ambition to be a better person and the people who looked out for me helped me realize that I still had a long journey ahead of me. I was able to obtain the Harrison Fellowship at National Louis University, which is now paying for 60% of my tuition. I am currently studying human services with a specialty in psychology, and my dream is to one day be a social worker. Although the cost of my tuition requires me to still have 2 part-time jobs, I am grateful for the help and the ability to continue my studies. I am learning to embrace the fact that I am undocumented, and I don't feel embarrassed or fear anymore. Due to the executive order made by Obama in 2012, known as the Fair Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA, I was able to receive a temporary status which allows me to work and obtain a driver license and a state ID. I don't have a legal status. I am a dreamer. And even if I have the Fair Action, my legal status is not set in stone. Yet. Of course, I now possess privileges that were never given to me before, such as a state ID or a driver license. And within these privileges, I am not being discriminated from places anymore because my ID is not a state ID, therefore useless. I am able to drive, right, with no fear, and I am able to be myself as well. Thinking about all or the few privileges that I have now only makes me think about my community, what we have left. This year is comprehensive immigration reform. I have been involved within this movement since I was 15, so it's now 7 years. This year I got involved with the campaign for comprehensive immigration reform through SWAP and the Illinois Coalition for immigrant and refugees' rights. By making calls all over the country, asking people to connect with their congressmen in favor of an immigration reform with a path to citizenship. I cannot say that the few past months working this job have been the easiest, because they have not. My team and I have heard all sorts of comments, both positive and negative. And at the end of the day, it just makes us realize that we still have a lot of work to be done. The fight for a more dignifying life is still being fought. And even if it seems like we have climbed up the mountain by winning the state vote, we still have yet to prove the House that our voices should be heard. We need our congressmen, Democrats and Republicans, to work together to allow for a vote to comprehensive immigration reform this year. Comprehensive immigration reform will make a better future not only for me as a dreamer or for my whole community, but also for the immigrant communities yet to come. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we'll transition to a part of the event where we take questions from the audience. So if you have a question, please make your way to one of the microphones on either side of the aisles and ask your question to the audience. Thank you.
Hello. First of all, thank you, panel, for all being here. You all are very outstanding individuals in this effort of immigration reform, and very appreciate all of it. Thanks to everyone that's come too. It's great to see you. my first questions would be just, so what's next? Probably specific to Roy. What's coming next, or anyone? You just talked about the most recent bill that provides a pathway. It takes about 13 years or so. But what's the slightest thing? I know we like to think big, but what's the small battle? What's the next small battle that any of you would like to see won from all your different fields and experiences?
I want to jump in on this. Ryan's in D.C. My understanding is what the House is doing, Mr. Boehner, the leader of Goodlatte, and others in the House are doing is they want to do a piecemeal approach. Enforcement bills, etc. And there doesn't seem to be a consensus in Republican leadership for a path to citizenship. So that's my understanding. They're doing a piecemeal approach. Ryan, will discuss some of this?
Yeah, as you can see, I put up a slide right now that has some descriptions of the bills that are out there. So currently there's 5 bills that have passed committee in the House, which is the first step before it goes and be voted on the floor and debated. So we have the SAFE Act, Border Security Results Act, Agricultural Guest Workers Act, Skills Act, and the Legal Workforce Act. So let me just give a little brief rundown of all 5 of these, what's good, what's bad about them. And then there's a couple other possibilities in the works. So first, the SAFE Act. The SAFE Act is the worst possibility that could happen. The SAFE Act is nationalizing SB 1070, the infamous Arizona law that would mandate for local law enforcement to racial profile and to target anybody who looks like an undocumented immigrant, in other words, Latino or Asian or anything other than what I look like. So the SAFE Act is something that the faith-based communities, as well as a lot of immigrant rights organizations and advocacy organizations in DC are fighting adamantly against. The Border Security Results Act. This is the provision, this is a part of the bill that would address border security. And actually, this is one of the only good positive bills that's coming out of the House. Now you may think, as speaking on behalf of the Sisters of Mercy, I want to be one that would be promoting militarizing our border and fortifying it. But in reality, this bill is a lot better than what the Senate's bill includes. So this is something that if we want something